at it, you can be a little overwhelmed. It's a lot. First time I looked at it, I was like, oh my God, I have to teach this? But it's actually not that hard. There is a pattern and there are ways to find the muscles. So I'm gonna teach you that to make it easier. You still have to memorize, okay? So it's not like the most simple thing in the world, but there is a way to kind of know where everything is. First off, I want to start with just telling you guys about the bones in the arm because it will help you with the names. So the two forearm bones is the ulna and the radius, okay? The radius is always on the thumb side and the ulna is always on the pinky side.
That's with a U, right? Like ulna.
Yes. So someone drew it out here. So ulna is always on the pinky and radius is always on the thumb, okay? So that's an easy way to remember the names because if you just memorize that, it will really help you with the naming. Another thing that will help you with the naming is there's either an extensor muscle or a flexor muscle, and extensor and flexor are in the name. So if it's a flexor, it's going to flex the wrist. So it's going to be on the forearm, like this part of the forearm, okay? If it's, because it's flexing the wrist, right? You're flexing the wrist. When you extend the wrist, the muscles run on the back. So they're going to be on this side of the arm. Okay, so extensors, flexors. Then you have your ulna and your radius. So it's really going to help with the naming. Okay. So we'll start with the flexors because they're a little easier. I'm going to flip the cat around. Okay, so for the extensors, these muscles are a little hard to kind of see which one's which because the tendons are sort of overlapping and really hard to find. So I always tell my students the first thing you should do when you see the extensors, no matter where the pin is this big muscle here is the Palmaris longus, okay? And the name sort of helps. So it's sort of like, remember with the tricep, longus, right? It's the biggest one. So this one here is the Palmaris longus. It's sort of like the first muscle that you see, okay? Next, another easy one to identify is this one here. It's the Pronator Teres. You see how it looks like a triangle? Everybody see that? And it only runs, it doesn't run, so you can't really see the tendon running all the way up. It just kind of disappears, sort of midway up. You see it? So it's this muscle right there, this triangle. And it's also the only muscle that will be pinned really close to the elbow, okay? And then this would be the Palmaris longus there. So next, remember this is the radius, and this is the ulna, right? So any muscle that's lateral to the Palmaris longus here, this muscle here, right, is running over the ulna, and it's going to be the flexor carpi ulnaris, okay? Ulna, and it's a flexor, okay? Flexor carpi ulnaris. Any muscle that you see in between these two, right, in between the Pronator Teres and the Palmaris longus, this guy right there, that muscle is going to be on the radius side, right? So it's going to be the flexor carpi radialis. Okay? So flexor carpi radialis, Palmaris longus, flexor carpi ulnaris, Pronator Teres. Okay? So those are kind of tricks to help you because if you just see the pin there, you're going to be like, oh my God, right? But if you think, okay, here's the Pronator Teres, here's the Palmaris longus, so I know that this is over the radius. So it's going to be a radius. It's also a flexor. So you already have two of the names, right? And then you just remember carpi. Okay? When we flip it over, we're going to do the extensors. So the extensors are easy in the sense that you can just look for the tendons. So you see the tendons here. You see 1, 2 tendons, 3 tendons. See? How they're very easily... Like if you start looking here, they're a little easy. Some of the cats are hard. That's why I always say to look for the tendons for the extensors. So there's 3, right? You actually have 4 muscles here that you need to know. So these 3 tendons, and there's another muscle here on the medial side that's divided into 2 muscles. But I'll get there. So again, look for the ulna runs here, and the radius runs there. So you know that the extensor radialis is going to be on this side. And any extensor ulnaris is going to be on that side, right? And so the first one here is the extensor carpi ulnaris. So it's the same. The carpi is the same. The carpi ulnaris and the carpi radialis are the same. It's just extensors or flexor, okay? So that's really going to help. So you don't really need to memorize so much. The next two here are the digitorums. So one way to remember them, you have the extensor digitorum lateralis and the extensor digitorum communis. You don't really need to write this part in. If you just want to write extensor digitorum, that's fine. Okay. The way to tell which one's which is lateralis, right? It's going to be on the lateral side. So this is the lateralis, right? It's most lateral. So extensor digitorum lateralis. Then the next is the extensor digitorum. And then you've got the radius here, right? So you've got the extensor Carpi radialis, Brevis, and Longus. Okay, the longest is this one here because see how it sort of looks like the bigger one. All right? And don't worry about this guy. We're not going to do him. So one easy way to remember too is always the muscles on the outside are going to have the name of the bones, and the middle ones, like on the forearm, right? It was the Palmaris longus, and on the back, it's the digitorums, right? And then you have the Ulnaris, Radialis, again same thing. Ulnaris, Radialis. This is the Flexor, and these are the Extensors, right? So that helps, and then just remember Carpi. Just throw Carpi in there. Okay? So the best thing you can do is honestly go to the cast and really just kind of do it for yourself, because it'll help you, rather than just watching me do it. Okay? And I'll come around to make sure that you guys are on the right track.